types of determiners, three other subclasses of determiners, which are possessive, demonstrative, and interrogative determiners. As I said before, they all share the common property of determiners of specifying the noun head of its noun phrase complement, but they differ in the type of information in other types of grammatical information they carry. So in the case of possessive determiners, they are plus specific, and they carry information about person, which can be first, second, or third, and information about number, which may be singular number or plural number. All right? Remember that determiners are invariable words, so this information is encoded, is part of the actual determiner. They do not take affixes. So if we take, for example, the determiner your, we know it assigns specific reference to the noun head of its noun phrase complement, and it carries information about second person and about number, which can be plural or singular. And other examples of possessive determiners can be my, our, his, her as well. In the case of demonstrative determiners, again, they assign specific reference to its noun phrase complement, and the grammatical information carried by this type of determiners is number, which again can be singular or plural, and distance as well. If the element they specify is near, we use this and these, but if the element they specify is far, we use that and those. And these determiners have some restrictions, because we can say this book, because the noun book is a common countable singular noun, and it combines with the determiner this, which has information about singular, but it is ungrammatical to say these book, because again the noun book is a common countable singular noun, but the demonstrative determiner these has information about plural number. Okay, that's why the phrase these book is ungrammatical. And last, interrogative determiners. Again, they assign specific reference to the noun head of its noun phrase complement, and they are invariable, so we cannot recognize any specific type of information about number or person, but something they do have in common, and which makes them determiners, is that they select a noun phrase as complement, as in the examples you can see there. Which car is better? What color is it? The structures between square brackets are determiner phrases, and the determiner which selects the noun phrase car as complement. The determiner what selects the noun phrase color as complement. What you need to have in mind is that not any WH word will be an interrogative determiners, okay? Only the ones that select a noun phrase as complement. The determiner whose is a tricky one, because this is an interrogative determiner, but the relations that it establishes with its complement and other elements is quite different, all right? So we can see that we can describe the grammatical information carried by possessive, demonstrative, and interrogative determiners in this way. So once again, we are better prepared to analyze how the choice of a determiner will affect how the noun head of the noun phrase complement is interpreted. In the case of possessive, demonstrative, and interrogative determiners, this is a type of grammatical information that we should specify, that should be part of our descriptions. In our car, there is a possessive determiner, which is plus specific and carries information about first person, plural. That car is a DP, whose head is a demonstrative determiner, which is plus specific and carries information about singular number and far as regards distance. And last, which car is again a determiner phrase whose head is an interrogative determiner, and we can say that it is plus specific. So let's revise what we have said so far. As regards the position occupied by determiners, we know that this category is the head of a determiner phrase. That is, determiners project determiner phrases, and determiners select a noun phrase complement. And why do we need determiners? Why do we use determiners? Well, because they are important to the interpretation of the noun, okay? And they provide information about definiteness and specificity. This type of information is encoded, is part of each type of determiner. And so they provide a reference to the noun head. We said at the beginning that we were going to focus on distributional criteria. You are already familiar with this term. And the question now is, where are determiners in a phrase, and in what way do they combine with other categories? So let's look at this chart. Determiners are heads, and this means that they project a phrase. What kind of phrase? Well, if the head is a determiner, the phrase projected will be a determiner phrase. This is what happens with other categories as well. But in this case, we are describing determiner phrases. So the definite determiner, the, is the head of a DP in the examples you see there on the left. The car, the books, and the. But there is a problem in the third example. The alone is ungrammatical. So we know that determiners always, not sometimes, they always select a noun phrase complement. Alright? So the problem in the third example is that there is no noun phrase complement, and that is why the phrase is ungrammatical. This sequence is ungrammatical. This is not possible in English. Alright? So what we can say, again, is that determiners cannot appear on their own in a phrase. They need a noun phrase complement. And so, if we pay attention to distributional criteria, the structure of a determiner phrase can be represented as in the descriptions, as in the diagrams you see at the bottom. All right, a determiner phrase whose head is a determiner, which in turn selects a noun phrase complement. And so if we analyze the determiner phrase the car, we know that the is a determiner head, and the MP car is an MP complement. All right, it is a complement of the head. This has to be clear. You have already learned what determiners are and how determiners can be subclassified into different subtypes of determiners, and you have also learned how to use distributional criteria to help you describe determiners and determiner phrases. Now we are going to analyze 3 determiner phrases, the ones you can see on the screen: my book, the red book, and an interesting book on astronomy. You can see that the 3 of them are determiner phrases, and that the determiner head in each case is in bold. And you also know that we need to describe not just the determiner alone, but the rest of the constituents which are part of the determiner phrase. That is, these other elements which are part of the determiner phrase should be made part of the description as well. And this is what we are going to present in the following slides. In previous lessons, we gave you some steps to describe word categories. And these steps take the form of general questions that you can use to describe a specific word and the syntactic context in which this word appears. So the first question is, well, what type of word is it? you need to mention the word category. Okay, you need to say this explicitly. Then the second question, does the word belong to a subclass of the category specified in 1? If it is a noun, what kind of noun? If it is a determiner, what kind of determiner? And what other details about it can you add? The third general question has to do with morphological criteria. Is this a simple or a complex word? And if this is a complex word, which affixes are attached? And of what kind are those affixes? And also, thinking about inflectional affixes and derivational affixes, what meaning do they add? Or what grammatical information do they add to the root? And also, in here, you need to provide some more examples in which the affixes you have recognized are attached to other words as well. The fourth general question has to do with distributional criteria. And in here, you need to specify, you need to describe the syntactic relations that the word you are analyzing establishes with the surrounding, with the neighboring elements, all right? If you analyze a word in particular, that word will be part of a phrase. So distributional criteria, as we saw before, help you to describe not only words, but also phrases. So to describe a determiner and the phrase projected by a determiner, which is a determiner phrase, we need to use the general questions, but they need to be adapted in a way, as we will see in this chart. On the left, you have the criteria, okay? Criteria refer to the questions we use to describe, in this case, a determiner. Which determiner? My, because we are analyzing the determiner phrase, my book. So let's focus on the determiner my. If we need to define, to describe the type of word it is, we can say that it is a determiner. You know that. As regards the subclassification, which is related to question number 2 from the previous slide, we can say that my is a possessive determiner. Why? Because it shows possession. Okay? And as regards the extra information you can add about this subclass of determiner, you can say that my carries information about first person and singular number. Okay, those are the features. That is the type of grammatical information that possessive determiners may carry, person and number. And in this case, as we have the word my, the determiner my, the grammatical information or the features that this word has are first person, singular number. All right? Now let's pass on to morphological criteria. Are there any affixes attached to this word? Well, you know now, because of the explanation and descriptions from the previous slides, that it is not relevant to say anything about morphological criteria for determiners. Why? Because these are invariable words, okay? They do not take any type of affixes, okay? So, in the case of determiner, there are no overt morphemes. As you can see in the angrammatical sequences, my cannot take the s to show plural number, and it cannot take the ed suffix to show past, okay? So morphological criteria are not helpful to describe the word my. Then, as regards distributional criteria, remember that these criteria have to do with the place that a word occupies in specific syntactic context. We can say that the determiner my is the head of the determiner phrase my book, and this determiner selects the noun phrase book as complement. This is how you describe a determiner and a determiner phrase. Okay, so let's see in the following slides how to turn this description into a paragraph.